And I asked Adam, I said, how does this compare to Gaza? He said, Doc, this is even worse than Gaza.
You went to change people's hips and knees back home. Why?
I never wanted to get to a point where life was all about me and how much money I make. Life without giving is not worth it. That's what the medical field is all about. When people gamble with money, we gamble with a lot more money, which is people's lives. And I told the boys at that time, get ready. Every hip or knee is equivalent to 10 hips and knees in the United States. Example, when you take a tray and put it in the autoclave, which is where you clean the equipment, it's supposed to be bone dry. You take it out and half of the time it's wet. You're scratching your head like, man, I'm here to help people. Am I really helping people?
Why do you think people find it difficult to find their purpose?
99% of the things that we worry about are the product of our own minds. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? And the reason I agreed to come on this podcast is I want to tell everyone, when you give something, realize it's not going to waste. We're so lucky that we can give. There was a guy that fell down 2 years ago. He could have had a procedure and get up and walk the same day. But because of the lack of the funding, that guy has not walked for 2 years and lost the ability to walk for the rest of his life. It was such a hard conversation for me to have.
Why did that make you emotional?
Me walking away, I felt defeated. These are the type of people that we came to help. And that person, I failed. I couldn't help him.
It's the time of the year where you write your New Year's resolutions and you generally make a list of everything that you want next year. How much money you want to make, what business you want to open. And the way I think about it is we write a list of the things that we want to take, which is not a bad thing. You absolutely should have a list with everything that you want to accomplish. But there's a part of that list, like a section, that I want you to make after listening to this episode. That's the section of giving back, what you want to give back to the world next year. And this episode with Dr. Hussein is an example of that, is one example of that. He went on a medical mission with a group of physicians to Lebanon to replace hips and knees for people in need that can't afford that type of surgery. He was very adamant on not wanting to go public with it and say basically what they did. He wanted to keep it private between him and his team and God. After pressuring him enough, he was willing to do it as long as it's framed to inspire people to do the same in whatever field that they go in. I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's, and I hope that section does make it to your list. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. I want you to glance at the subscribe button. Are you subscribed? If you're not, do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps me make this podcast bigger and bigger, and it lets me know that you're enjoying the conversation. And with that being said, let's get the show started.
Welcome aboard Middle East Airlines.
والمتوجهة إلى
طيران الشرق الأوسط يرحب
مدينة القدس العربية.
Doc, the way we usually start this off is by you introducing yourself. But I don't want you to introduce yourself as doctor or surgeon. None of that is important right now. What's important is when you look yourself in the mirror late at night when you get back home, who's that person that's in the mirror?
My name is Hussein Darwish. I am the son of Lebanese immigrants that came to this country back in 1991 and went to school all my life in this country, and a very proud father, a dedicated orthopedic surgeon, an educator in medical school, someone who always try to do the best I can to improve on what I already know and what I can make a difference in people's lives.
Mm. When did you realize that you wanted to make a difference in people's lives?
Ever since I was a very young person, I really wanted to go into medicine and not knowing why. And then I believe back in 1994 or 95, one of my youngest cousins came down with cancer. And she was a little kid. And we brought her on a journey from Beirut to the United States to get medical treatment. And unfortunately, we lost that fight. And she ended up passing. And that really wanted me to go into oncology or cancer doctor. And I got to medical school with the hope that that's what I want. I studied hard to get into oncology. And then as a third-year medical student, when I did my rotations, I quickly changed my mind because I realized I like doing things with my own hands. And to me, surgery I felt it was my calling in life. And I changed my application from, my previous plans to become a surgeon.
Mm. They say that a lot of people find their purpose through pain. It's one of the ways people find their purpose in life. And when I was doing research for this episode, I was wondering to myself, what could have been the pain that Hussein went through?
Obviously I'm a product of a long civil war in Beirut. And, I grew up, with all kind of bombings around us and, what I would consider now a very unstable life. And I felt privileged that I had a way to go to a different country that's safe and you have rights. But that pain growing up is something that you can never shake out of your personality, or you can never overcome the hardships of such atrocities.
How aware of you of those earlier memories in the Civil War every day?
I mean, will it be every day? Probably not, but did it shape my life? 100%.
They do say that there's 3 things that shape a man's life. It's immigrating, going through war, and going to jail. And you have 2 of those under your belt, unless you've been to jail.
I have not been to jail.
But what is it about going through these difficult times that shape your personality in that way? What do you think?
It makes you have to depend on yourself. As an immigrant, I came to this country, with the hope of a higher education. And that's something that my parents, made sure that the one thing that I kept my eye on is always studying hard to get a better education. If you did not depend on yourself, you did not succeed. You did not pay your rent. You did not pay your tuition. So it teaches you that you don't have a whole lot of room for you to, I don't want to say mess around, but waste time. And because time is valuable, because everything is being accounted for. You have to wake up, you have to go to school, you have to get a job, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your tuition, and you have to do well in school if you want to pursue, let's say, medical school or any other professional field. So it puts a whole lot of things in perspective. It makes you prioritize. It makes you more responsible toward anything that goes on in life. That's not just being an immigrant, tell you the truth, that's being responsible. But definitely being an immigrant teaches you how to be responsible and kind of account for every minute of your day.
I think the thing about immigrating from one country to another is that, like you said, it doesn't give you that time to waste. Because you already come here and you feel like you're way behind, right? So in a way, every moment that you waste is actually double or triple or quadruple the time that someone else has that's already been living here. So I think that mentality is why immigrants tend to be more successful. They just don't have that time to waste. And when you live in a place where there's not too many opportunity, it's like when you're playing a video game and you start off by playing on very difficult mode, and then someone switches it to easy mode. You're gonna feel like, or medium. This is the medium difficulty is going to seem very easy because you were just playing on very, very hard mode this whole time. And I think that's what immigration does. You're playing on very, very, very hard mode back home, and then you come here and it's medium, and then it feels very easy.
So I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of truth to what you said, but I have to be fair to the experiences and what got me to be where I'm at now. I am a lucky person. I came to a community that welcomed all of us with open arms. So that sense of me coming from behind is not something that I took to heart, because honestly, there's a lot of great people that I came across as a new immigrant. I came here without my mom and dad. I came here because my brother lived here, and pretty much him and I had to depend on ourselves to make it. But the reality is, I can count so many people that played a huge role in me feeling welcomed, in me knowing that life is a lot more than the games or the funds or the hardships. Or it's a true family atmosphere when you have nice people around. This is a great community. It gave me a lot. That's why right now I cannot give enough back, because I feel so privileged. I came to a place where if you want any food, you go to see the land, and as if your mom is cooking for you, or Al Yasmin, or all these great places. I came here. I had a job the next week. I felt very welcome. And this community is fantastic. We're not perfect. I'm not claiming to be perfect, but it gave me a lot, and that sense of coming from behind, the underdog. I honestly never felt it, because when I went to college, I felt like all my friends, we have a lot of common values. So I really never felt that I have to step up or prove myself. I felt right at home, and I give credit to this community.
How old were you when you came?
Well, I was 17.
17.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No parents.
No parents.
Okay.
It was great.
Was it great?
Listen, was it? So when I say great, I don't mean it's
I want you to think at 17, 18.
It was tough.
Those 2 years.
It was tough.
Yeah.
I'm used to talking to my mom and dad every single day, for them to take me under their wing, show me the ropes. Out of the sudden, you wake up one day, you're like, okay, I'm on my own. And, you start thinking, hey, man, I'm an adult now. I everything that I do has to be accounted for. I really don't have a whole lot of leeway for me to make mistakes or, waste time or, mess around. You feel like you have to, clockwork. But honestly, I'm not taking all the credit for everything that I've done in life, because I came to the right place. I came to a community that's amazing. It took me under. Listen, so there's one person, Allah yarhamu, he passed on now. I worked at his gas station. The guy was like a second father to me. He was very kind. He knew when I have tests. He knew when I have exams. He gave me the freedom to study. He gave me the freedom to take a day off, to compensate for any school project. You don't get that somewhere else. In my opinion, obviously, I did not go somewhere else, but I feel that what Dearborn has to offer, it's the perfect place for someone with my story to make it.
True. Well, I'm thinking of the reason I'm asking about those earlier years, because I came to America at a similar age that you did, and I came without my parents too, and I had to work the second week that I got here. So a lot of similarities.
That's a common theme.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a very common theme. But I remember those first 2 years were I felt like the sky was falling in a way, because very new territory. I was excited, but the exact same words that you said, that there is no room for mistakes, I have to figure it out, was a constant theme in my head. And that sentence just kept spinning and spinning all day, 24/7. You're not allowed to make a mistake.
Honestly, look, so you come here on a mission, right? I came here on a mission. I wanted to study. I wanted to get a higher education. So you kind of, once you get in the motions of you being preoccupied with a plan, you come here with a plan, right? And that plan takes you into from step A to B to C to D. As you said, there's not a whole lot of room for you to, waste time or live life like maybe other kids had an opportunity to do. But once again, if I want to look at, you asked me, look at the first 2 years. Yes, I remember when I had a conversation with my brother, who was my best friend growing up, and I left him behind. And what I described to him, it's like you die and you go to a place where you don't know anyone, right? But the opportunity is there, right? But you're 100% right. Everything is brand new. Everything, you have to learn everything. And if that's what you meant by coming from behind, so yeah, so be it. But the reality is, because you have a structure, and once you have a structure, you don't feel lost. Like I hear that from a lot of immigrants, that I felt lost, or I felt overwhelmed. For some reason, I just never felt that way. I got to give credit to my older brother, because my older brother Muhammad took me under his wing, and we lived together, and he never, maybe it's him that never made me feel that I'm missing out on something, or I'm coming from behind, or I'm behind the 8 ball. You're right. I had a job the first week I got here, which I'm blessed. And again, I give credit to this beautiful community.
Do you remember how difficult or easy it was for you to speak to your parents back then, or no?
Absolutely. It was very hard.
Okay.
We used to buy the cards and communicate through these the calling cards, and it was very tough, yeah.
So even like that line of communication wasn't there?
100%.
You actually leave everything behind.
It was once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, money is tight, and the communication piece, the way you guys know it now, is not what it was back then.
Were those cards expensive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times it works, a lot of times it doesn't work. It's a lot of misses, some hits. It was not what it is now. Absolutely not.
And how long did you go without seeing your parents?
So my mom ended up coming here probably 3 years after I was here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your dad?
Probably 10, 15 years afterwards. Yeah.
So you didn't see your dad for 10, 15 years?
No, I went to Beirut and visited after 7 years of being in the States, yeah.
Did it feel weird?
What, going back to Lebanon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing your dad after 7 years?
It was very exciting to see my dad, but you live in one place for 7 years, and then you go back, and your whole perception of the previous place is not the same. So yeah, it felt weird not to see my dad, but to go back to Beirut.
I haven't seen my dad in around 4.5, 5 years now, and I'm going next week. So this is the longest I've gone without seeing him, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm excited. He doesn't know that I'm going, so he's gonna be really surprised. I told him I'm not gonna be able to make it again after the 4 years that are going by. I keep telling him, Baba, it's not gonna work out. So I don't know. I'm very excited, but I wonder from your perspective how that was for you.
Oh man, it's a great feeling, and you will not miss a beat. Your dad is always your dad, and your feelings toward your father is never changed, and I am 100% sure he will be so excited to see you that you feel like you guys left each other for less than a day. It's a great feeling. That family bond is obviously unshakable, so that will not be strange. But maybe going back to the surroundings, the places that you like, that would probably feel a little bit different.
Do you think why do you think people find it difficult to find their purpose?
I'm being honest with you. That's what I tell my kids. Nothing comes easy. And it's so hard inside your brain to get worked up over stuff that doesn't even exist, right? 99% of the things that we worry about are the product of our own minds. Once you feel overwhelmed, or I don't want to use the word helpless, but not capable, this is when you lose purpose. That's why no one should ever give up. You should always go after what you want. You should expect more failures than success. It's a part of life. But what is not a part of life is don't ever give up.
Do you think people nowadays don't realize that? Do you think it can come easy?
I think your generation is tough. I think you guys will make it. Look, to be honest with you, I not to talk about my career, but I teach at Wayne State, and I see a lot of young medical students and young residents and physicians come out of this community. You guys are tough. But I think in every generation, there's the kids that They know that it takes a lot to get stuff done, and giving up is not an option. And the others that once faced with the first no, it doesn't matter in what, they say, okay, I tried and I'm giving up. So I think that mix belongs to every generation.
You know, the reason I'm asking is because maybe a lot of people figure out what they want to do in life, but there's always this question of, okay, but then what? Okay, I'm an engineer, but then what? Am I only an engineer forever? You know, like that's the purpose part that I'm speaking of. People want meaning to what they're doing, and they find it difficult to find that meaning. And I'm just wondering, in your opinion, why do you think people struggle to find the meaning behind what they're doing?
You know, boredom is part of life. And, you know, imagine that you wanted a car, okay? And you get the car and you drive it for 2, 3, 4 weeks. You forget how much you wanted that car. And you want something new in life. And that's healthy. In my opinion, that's very healthy.
Okay.
If you keep pursuing other dreams, it's not wrong. It's actually probably beneficial. So I think it's in our human nature to keep wanting more, to keep questioning who we are, to keep questioning, am I doing enough? Am I on the right track to satisfy who Hussein Darwish is? Am I doing what my young me wanted me to do? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? Do I want to pursue other venues to accomplish more things? I think this is what makes life beautiful is number one, you're always second guessing your value or your mission in life, and you always want to improve. And yeah, we get bored. I mean, boredom is real.
Do you think that life is very easy now to where everything feels attainable?
Absolutely.
And that's part of the reason why? Like, it feels attainable. It's not really on the ground, but things feel like they're easy. So it's, I think, more difficult to find meaning in things. Because when I can give you something easily.
When you say easy, you mean more available?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, nowadays, everything that you want is at the tip of your fingers. You can Google anything. You can read. Back in the days, we used to go to a library and look up stuff and books. Now, I'm sure you guys don't ever have to do that. So, yes, you're right. You can get more stuff a lot easier. Maybe that makes you think about what's next or what you want to do.
You know, in this episode, we talk about Lebanon and going back home, and I mentioned a small story about how it's been quite a while since I've been back. But every time I want something to remind me of Lebanon, I get the Nescafe from Detroit Park. That's what I was drinking during recording this episode. It's just that familiar taste that will always take you back home. And my favorite thing about that is that it always tastes the same. It's very consistent, and it's amazing quality coffee. So if you didn't know where to get coffee this week, or maybe you haven't visited Perk in a while, make sure to stop by. If you want, download the app, place your order beforehand, walk in, pick it up, and get going. But one thing I can guarantee is that coffee is going to hit the spot. You'd be surprised how many people think life insurance is for what happens later in life. It's not for now. That's really not true. It's about making sure that your family is protected no matter what stage of life you're in. I work with Nasser Insurance Agency for my own policies, and they handle everything for me, and they make it very simple and very easy. So if you've ever had questions about life insurance, if you were ever thinking about it, this is the time to act upon that. And all the ways to contact Nasser Insurance Agency are in the description of this episode, and let them know that you heard it from here. If you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, or even if you're recovering from a surgery, Thrive Physical Therapy in Dearborn is one of those places that are absolutely committed to helping you feel better. Listen to this, their recovery rate is 97%. And not only do they accept most insurances, they handle the insurance side for you. You don't need to worry about claims and paperwork. You just need to show up and they'll take care of the rest. So if you've been putting this off, this is your sign to take initiative. You can book your first session with Thrive Physical Therapy using the link in the description of this episode. And now let's get back to the show. This medical mission that you went to, when I was reading the headline, it seemed weird a little bit because you're a successful doctor And people kind of, when they make it to that doctor level, when there's the MD next to their name, they kind of sail into the sunset. You know, then the perception from everyone is now they make their money, now they get rewarded for all those difficult years in med school, and now it's time to relax, right? Make money, buy cars, have fun, that's it. You went to change people's hips and knees back home. Why?
So the first part that you said, I have to be honest. You do work hard as a physician, and you get rewarded. You know, I mean, everyone has their own, you know, perspective or, you know, how they judge their success and failures. But in general, physicians, as you said, they study hard. You sacrifice a lot. You go years and years and years while all your friends got married and, you know, lived life. You're still sitting down, looking at a book, day in, day out. And by the time you graduate, you're like, oh man, I missed out on a few years of my life. But you're 100% right. You work hard, you make it. I tell all the residents, it goes by so quick, which is bad, but it's good. But you never get to a point where you feel like it's all about me. That's what drove us into the medical field is you want to give back. I told you about my little cousin who did not make it, right? And you know, we all know people that passed away because of, you know, medical illnesses, because of medical mistakes. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that you know, all of us are shaped in the way that we are. I think if you ask most physicians, none of us get to a point where we say, you know what, it's all about me. I'm making enough money. Let me just worry about Hussein Darwish and move on, and never look back or never give back. That's the wrong perception. And if you are that person, trust me, you're in the wrong field.
So what happened in your life to where you realized that there was this big issue with people not that surgery of changing their hip and their knee not being attainable to them?
So look, it's all about how you know how you're raised, right? How you were brought up, right? Your value system. To me, I've always wanted to give back. To me, life without giving is not worth it. So you try to give back as much as you can, you know, whether it's, you know, financial, all this stuff. But to me, always, sweat is a lot more important than financial support. It makes you feel much better. It makes you feel much closer to the goal that you grow up wanting to accomplish. I never wanted to get to a point where life was all about me and how much money I make, or you know, we show a bit. Trust me when I tell you, every physician, whether a surgeon or any other specialty, we wake up every day wanting to make someone's life better to our best of abilities. It's not guaranteed, but that's our goal every single day, to make every patient that we come across better. Everyone in his own specialty. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I have a very big practice here. I want to make a difference in people's lives. You don't think about money. You don't think about a thing. You think about, you know what, this guy came to me with an x-ray that shows this, and my plan is to do this, and what's the best way for me to go from point A to point B. That's my mission. That's what I do. And that's because of my field as an orthopedic surgeon. But if you talk to an oncologist, they want to take a person who has stage, hopefully 0, and work on this person and give them a full life. That's their mission in life. That's what the medical field is all about. You know, I always said to residents are you know, our trainees, you know, people gamble with money. We gamble with a lot more money, which is people's lives, right? So for us to wake up every day wanting to make a difference in a human being's life is our mission. So whether it's for free or whether we get paid for it, it's the same mission. And, you know, always I've had in the back of my mind the less fortunate. You know, like in this country, we're blessed, right? Every single one has insurance. Back in Lebanon or any other country, they don't. And by the way, I'm not like a pioneer in this. This is something that is being done in all kind of African countries, Pakistan, Palestine, a lot of other countries, have what we call medical missions from United States or other Western physicians that go down and try to make a difference. The only thing that I did was looked at what other people in different, what other people are doing in different countries and took it to Lebanon.
And when did you realize that there was a problem in Lebanon?
Look, I visit Lebanon every summer, if not once, twice a year. And let's be honest, we all have people that call us all the time asking for financial help to get medical care done. And we all know people that I personally, maybe because of my job, I know a lot of people that could not afford to do surgery X and they never walked again, or they limped all their life, or they became so limited in their way of living. So I see these stories every single time I go to Lebanon. I see people struggling to live a decent, functional life because of an ailment. And I saw that all the time.
Does that hurt you?
Absolutely. As a human being, it has to hurt you. Not as a physician. As a good, decent human being, this will hurt.
Maybe it'll hurt. For example, if I'm seeing someone that having difficulty to walk, maybe I'll feel bad, but I know there's nothing physically I can do. Like if he needs surgery, people ask for money, maybe you can help in that way. But I'm asking from your perspective because you have the tools to physically, for example, give him a new hip, a hip replacement. You can fix his knee, So I'm just wondering if that crosses your mind, because you know that I am capable physically of changing this man or woman's life around. Like, does that weigh more heavy on you?
It has to, right? I mean, I tell people all the time, they come to me and they ask me, Doc, I'm like, okay, listen, I watch people walk. It's my job. I watch someone's gait. It tells me a lot. That's what I do. So to me, it's a little bit more personal when someone, is limping in front of you and you're watching them walk and you're like, okay, they got this or that, and I can do something about it. But here, everyone has the means to get whatever it is that they want to get done. I mean, not everyone, but most everyone. I mean, we do a good job covering patients' healthcare, and hopefully it stays that way. But in countries like Lebanon, honestly, there's the haves and have-nots. If you have money, look, the healthcare system in Lebanon is fantastic. There's a lot of great hospitals. If you have money, you can get, an American-trained physician that works at an institution that employs all board-certified orthopedic surgeons to get your surgery done. So you don't have that issue if you have money. But the reality is, that's what separates a third world country from others, is always there's this division between the haves and the have-nots. So if you don't have money, you're not getting surgery. And I get, like, at least, I don't want to say once a week, but at least once a month, like a consult, like look at this x-ray, or look at, from my aunt wants this, from Lebanon, looking at their stuff. And there's a lot of complications that come my way. There's a lot of things that, exactly what you said, you say, oh man, I could have made a difference in this person's life.
How often do you think about that?
Look, I'm a very busy surgeon here, so I think about it every single day, right? So I do this a lot. And as I mentioned to you before, to us, it's the challenge of fixing something that's wrong. Now, the human element that you're talking about is someone that cannot afford it. I don't know how often does it come to our mind, because we're privileged. We live in a country that, luckily, we don't have to think about that stuff. And, my day-to-day job allows me not to think about someone needing surgery and not being able to get it done. That's unfortunate, but that's the honest truth.
True.
Yeah.
True. So you had kind of already some background information before going on this medical mission about who you're going to see, how many hips you're going to change, how many knees are you going to help. Like, are these things that you already know beforehand, before you go?
None.
Oh, so you just walk into the hospital with
No,
your team?
well, it wasn't that way. It was tough to get this mission. So again, I'm not the first one to think about a medical mission abroad. I'm not. But I know a lot of people that went to Palestine, like one of the physicians that was with us, Adam Fahas, who's a great physician. He went to Gaza.
He was on the show. He talked about it.
He's a great guy. I had the privilege. I have to mention my teammates. I have to mention every single one. Adam Fahas is one. Dr. Fahas is a phenomenal individual. Dr. Muhammad Ali Jawad, who's also an orthopedic surgeon at DMC. He's a phenomenal orthopedic surgeon. Fadi Nasruddin, Dr. Fadi is a medical doctor who ended up not specializing, who came and helped tremendously. Dr. Muhammad Bazzi. Dr. Bazzi is a foot and ankle specialist. I met Dr. Bazzi 20 years ago when he was in training. He walked into my OR and I got to know him and fell in love with his demeanor and love to help others and all this stuff. And he came with us on the mission, was instrumental with us. And of course, I got to give a shout out to, in my opinion, the best physical therapist that anyone can ask for, Yahya Shukr. Dr. Yahya Shukr was, man, that guy was instrumental. He educated patients. He dedicated so much time. I truly had the best team. We took this mission on with a lot of unknowns, because I'm not a pioneer in a way that I came up with this idea, but I am someone that did not have the platform for me to say that's what I want in Lebanon. So in a way, we had to invent every move and kind of get to conquer the next step on our own, which made it very hard. So it was an idea, and it took months and months and months of preparation for us to get to a point where I said to the hospital presidents, I'm like, you know what, guys, I need to look at some x-rays before I go to Lebanon. So we were able to get to a point where x-rays were sent to me, and I looked at it and I said, okay, we can do this patient and we can do this patient, but this patient is not a candidate. But was it 100%? Absolutely not. Like the first case that we did in Beirut, to tell you how things just evolved, we had to be open-minded, number one, and be open to any new circumstance that comes our way. So the first case that we did was a lady that fell down and broke her hip. And she waited 2 weeks for us to get there so we can replace her hip. I didn't know about this case. We got there, they said, Doc, there's a lady who fell down, broke her hip. She needs a hip. I'm like, okay, that's what we're here for. So we ended up doing a hip replacement on her. So we never had the control of our patients or our destiny like we would here. Like if a patient comes to me now, I have to look at his x-rays, his medical history, where he was yesterday and what he ate the day before, and any allergies to medications, any past medical history, any past surgical history. We never had the luxury of knowing patients to that level. And that made us feel very uncomfortable.
You just kind of had to work with what you're dealt.
Again, you had to, I would hate to, look, we're surgeons, right? We love to be in control. Like this is the hardest thing that we faced, me, Muhammad Ali, and Adam, and Dr. Bazzi, and the teammates that we went. We did not feel like we're in control of our patients. Like, in a way, we are being told, that's what you guys have tomorrow, and that's what you guys got to do tomorrow. So that was uncomfortable to a certain extent, because I'll be honest with you, I've seen the x-rays before, but that's all I've seen is the x-rays. I screen the x-rays for my team. Yes.
Yeah. Is that the nature of these medical missions usually, that there's this many things that are unknown?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
And look, we learned a lot. We did very good, but we struggled more than we did. We did not expect this struggle to be as intense. Part of it is we kind of did this on our own, right? Like, like a single medical mission with minimal affiliation with anyone, it's kind of tough. It sounds tough, right? Our biggest asset was the Minister of Health.
It's a good asset.
A great asset. Oh my God. Without him, this would not have happened. And Mr. Osama Siblani was instrumental in what we did. He provided us with all the means for us to, this is Lebanon. This is a highly political place for us to get stuff in and the customs and the shipping. And you might think that's easy, but it's not. It's very hard.
You mean shipping your equipment and your tools?
So when I thought about this medical mission, okay, so you have to think about what kind of impact would you have on patients' lives, right? So when I went to Lebanon, I knew that joint replacement is not something that the government funds, right? So if you need a knee replacement, you're on your own, right? The government is not in the business of paying for a knee replacement or a hip replacement. So people that have money got it done. People that did not have money either did not get it done or had to ask for outside help so they can gather enough funds and get it done. So I knew there's a big need for this. So what we did is I sat down with the first two people I talked to was Adam Fahas and Muhammad Ali Jawad, Michael Jawad. So I spoke to Dr. Fahas, I spoke to Dr. Jawad, like, you guys, I've got this idea. It's something that hasn't been done in Beirut. What do you guys think? They said, let's do it. So that was the birth of that idea. Then the logistics came to us is how do we get this done? So I went to Stryker, which is an implant manufacturing company in the United States. Because you have to understand the cost of each implant is about $5,000.
Okay.
So for you to do 50, you're taking $250,000 worth of implants with you to get them done in Beirut. So that was the first hurdle is how do we get Stryker to approve it? And they were kind enough. They said, you know what, it's a medical mission. We've approved 11. Why not make it 12 for this year? Like, okay, great, thank you. So we got the implants approved by Stryker. Then we thought about the cost of shipping, the cost of this, the cost of that. You know what? Then I decided, you know what, I'm doing this on my own. I don't need outside help. As we talked before, alhamdulillah, God blessed us all with great resources in life, and it's only beautiful to give back. So we decided we don't want any outside funding. Then for Stryker to approve all this, we needed a non-profit organization. So we went to Mr. Osama Siblani. We asked for his help, and he was instrumental in making this happen. So he allowed us to seek Stryker's approval under his Arab American non-profit organization. So we married the two together. And then after that, we wanted to talk to Lebanon to make it realistic for us to go down and operate. So Osama allowed me to speak to the president of a hospital in Baalbek. So I spoke to him once. He said, look, we have to get the blessing of the Minister of Health. So me and Dr. Abbas Shukr, we went and sat down with the Minister of Health, and the Minister of Health was very accommodating and said, oh my God, you guys are doing the people of this country a huge favor because the government doesn't have enough funds to cover such surgeries. So he was very, very accommodating. That was last summer. So I came here, I started working on every aspect of the mission. It's a lot of paperwork, so my daughter Dina and my son Ali helped me out quite a bit, filling out a lot of paperwork, and Stryker approved it. Then phase 2 is for us to get temporary privileges in Lebanon. So we talked to the Minister of Health. He said, no problem. He gave us temporary privileges because none of us are allowed to practice medicine in Lebanon. We're all U.S. grads, every single one of us. I mean, this is the first time I personally worked outside of the walls of the United States.
Right.
So that was a big hurdle for us to overcome because that's a big political decision. And again, a lot of people helped us to accomplish that. Then the next phase is for us to ship the implants. So we shipped the implants, and we faced an issue with Lebanon has a huge embargo on the country, and whatever it is that you ship has to, change hands in some European country, And that took a minute for the equipment and the prosthesis to make it to Lebanon. Believe it or not, we got to Lebanon on a 2-week medical mission. The first 4 days, we did absolutely nothing because the equipment did not arrive on time. And we're sitting down, every single one of us took time off from their busy practice, time off from their busy life. We're all married with kids and responsibilities, and we all have wives, and and we're sitting down, we're like, man, this is frustrating. And this is probably the worst time that we got. And then finally the equipment, and I have to mention Osama one more time, because Mr. Osama Siblaini, applied a lot of political pressure for the equipment to be transferred from, I think it landed in France, Charles de Gaulle Airport, and that had to be moved from Delta to Middle East, and it was just a big mess. And I think the equipment arrived 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, I want to say. And by the time we were finished sterilizing the equipment, we started our first case at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Same day.
Yes, because we were behind. Listen, we promised the people to do 50 cases. We have to step up. We have to perform.
Yeah.
We're not there on vacations. If I was on vacation, I would have took my wife and kids. I'm there to work. So we started at 4 o'clock, brand new hospitals. Now, and these hospitals are not what we're used to. They're far beyond my imagination. I could have never imagined a place that's, I'm even ashamed to say that, because they're very, very good people. The people are top notch, but their abilities, it's miserable. So, and I asked Adam, I said, how does this compare to Gaza? He said, Doc, this is even worse than Gaza.
Because when Dr. Adam was here, he was telling me that the equipment there, like none of it would get any type of approval to be used here.
It was worse than that. We started working at 4 o'clock, and we quickly realized that there's a lot of obstacles for us to overcome. And I told the boys at that time, like, look, get ready. Every hip or knee is equivalent to 10 hips and knees in the United States. And I believe the first day we started at 4 o'clock, we finished at 1:30 in the morning with 4 cases. And I could have never imagined us doing 4 cases in an afternoon going into the night. And this is when reality started to hit, like maybe we took a bigger bite than we can chew.
You felt that?
You know what? No, I did not, because the people that worked with us in these hospitals were so friendly, were so appreciative. They were there. Look, you walk out of the OR, and all these nurses and all these people that work at the hospital, they follow you around with a cup of coffee. Doc, what can I do for you? They were so friendly. It's something that I've never seen before. It made medicine, which sometimes does not feel human, very human, right? The element factor was so impressive. Believe me, I'm telling you, the first day, straight up, was terrible, because, again, it was overwhelming. Did I feel helpless? No. Did I feel overwhelmed? Oh my God, yes. And you know what? The biggest thing that made me second guess what I'm doing is, again, their standards are much, much, much different than ours. Much different than ours. Like, so many things. I'm like, whoa, slow down. What is it? Doc, don't worry. That's how we do it.
Can you give me an example?
There's a lot of examples. And you have to understand, I have, out of respect to these facilities and these hospitals, I don't want to belittle their efforts, because it's unbelievable what they do with the amount of what they have, which is so little. Example, I'll tell you, when you take a tray and put it in the autoclave, which is where you sterilize or you clean the equipment, you take it out, it's supposed to be bone dry. You take it out, and half of the time it's wet. You're scratching your head like, man, I'm here to help people. Am I really helping people? And you freak out. You'll be like, I'm not used to this. They'll be like, okay, Doc, don't worry about it. They do their own tests and stuff. And you're like, I don't believe that for a minute. but you just have to trust the system. It's a lot of trust. Like I said, the most uncomfortable thing that we had to deal with, me and my co-teammates, is the trust factor, is the standards that we're used to. It was just different.
So at one point you would have to think that maybe I'm hurting these people more than, like maybe people could catch an infection. Like those are the types of things that you're referring to, right?
I lost sleep over that. I continue to lose sleep over this. It's the fear of not being able to provide your own standard of care to the people that you left, your wife and kids and families and mom and siblings, and you went on a mission to help others, and you're just not sure. Am I helping others? Am I not helping others? Yes, I'm trusting the people to allow me to do what they have done, but this is not my standards.
So because first, when you first said that, what did I think? I thought that maybe you meant that you have a machine here, for example, like a tool that will make your job maybe 4 times faster. And then there they just have an outdated version of that machine. But now I kind of changed a little bit where when you mentioned the word standard, and my head went to safety now. So is it the first one or is it the second?
Definitely safety.
Okay.
100%. That's the only thing. Because, look, we know how to do hip and knee, right? We've done thousands of these, right? So the fact of doing the right thing for patients was never up to debate, right? But then how do you get there, right? So I can tell you some of the things that we faced is the saw blades that we use, and I don't mean to make this, graphic, but I am who I am. Right?
Go for it.
So the saw blade that we use to cut the bone, right? For us here, you open it and you use it and you throw it away. Over there, it's been used 1,000 times. And when I tell you it's dull, I'm telling you it's dull. That blade, instead of you cutting through bone, a lot of times you find yourself wrestling with the bone for something that you can get done in a half a minute, 15, 20 minutes. Just because it's a reusable blade that they use again and again and again and again. And I guarantee you, and I'm assuming, to be fair, this is not something I asked about, but I think these blades are at least 5+ years old. And I don't know how many bones have they touched before, but I guarantee you a lot. They were dull. That's one thing. The second thing is cement. We use cement on knees. We put it together. That quality that we were faced with, I'm like, what is this?
Cement, does that glue the knees?
Yeah, on knees only. And I'm like, wow, well, this is extremely inconsistent. This is not up to anyone's standards. What do I do with this? But having said that, look, it's from the lack of, again, this is our first medical mission. We struggled a lot, and we learned a lot. And if we do this in the future, we're ready. We're a lot better equipped next time for us to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that we were not knowledgeable enough to overcome till toward the end of our trip. Everything evolved, right? I took Jordan Vincent with me, who's my assistant, and was a great guy, outstanding, a guy who works for Stryker. He came with me. I paid his way. He was kind enough to leave his family and come with me. And the guy, when we first got there, he was shocked. He was like, "Doc, I can't do this. Doc, you would not think about doing this back in Detroit." I'm like, "Listen, you got to trust the locals." So toward the end of the trip, I looked at Jordan, and he was like shooting off, like orders here and there. I'm like, "Jordan, you became more Lebanese than most of these people now," because he adapted to the way of them doing things.
Yeah.
And we gained a little bit more confidence, and we knew what to ask for. So that was a learning curve. I cannot be honest with you, and I shouldn't be talking about this. I am shocked that we had 0 complications over that trip.
Really?
Yeah, shocked. Absolutely shocked.
Like you were waiting for people to come back with complications in
Yeah.
a sense. You were expecting that.
Well, look, my biggest discomfort was their way of sterilizing things. Because, when you do joints, the one thing that you cannot afford is an infection,
Right.
right? So that is one thing that I spend a lot of time here. I pride myself in having the best infection rate in the state of Michigan, right? Over there, you're asking me to take a tray that's wet and open it and do surgeries with. To me, that's something I had a hard time comprehending or accepting. But I had no other way but to accept it.
Yeah, you can't leave.
You can't perform the things, but you accept it. And as you mentioned before, and then you lose sleep. Am I helping or hurting patients? So it's always that look, it was an amazing trip. It's a leap of faith. It transformed all of us. On the way back, we all looked at each other. We're like, wow, how did we do this? This was incredible. These people in Lebanon, they helped us so much. They helped us so much. The nurses, the scrub techs, man, everyone is so helpful. Everyone is willing to jump in and just help you. And like I told you, it took it from being like a job, like show up every day. My assignment is A, B, C, like all this like boring, mundane, assignments to like, wow, I'm working with human beings that they give all they got toward what and they're like fully engaged with what we do. And to us, that was unbelievable. That was incredible. But it's definitely a leap of faith. It's definitely outside of our comfort zone, way outside of our comfort zone. All of us combined, we developed a system that worked for us great. After a few cases, we're like, okay, we sat down. At the end of the day, we should be good at problem solving, right? We're like, okay, we have these problems again. Look, there's so many things that we did that were completely outside the box. Like the first hospital, God bless them. How they do this, I have no idea. The room is the size of this room and you're doing surgery. So what that means is you bring the patient in, then you open your instruments. And that's something that I've never seen in my life.
You have to open your instruments first always before the patient comes in?
Yeah, but you can't do that because the room is too small. I got there, the first patient, I'm looking at them, how the anesthesiologist is dealing with. And again, I'm not bad-mouthing anyway. It's just they do things
it's just
different.
differently, yeah.
The anesthesiologist or his tech comes in and push a needle into the back and give him a spine, which what we do here. And that is it. And they walk out. No sedatives, no propofol, none of this stuff. You just position the patient and ask him to be patient till we get done. And to us, we looked at each other like, what is happening? Like, that's how they do things? Okay, great. Right? Like, no one is monitoring the screen. Things are different. It's just different. It's different. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not something that we were used to. The rooms, the equipment, it was just different.
Wow.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the process of the mission? What can you tell me about the individuals, the patients that you were seeing? How different were they from your patients here in Detroit, for example?
Every patient that we did had a story behind them. And to me, I will carry with me for the rest of my life. That was the most touching piece of my trip, is these patients were incredible. The second guy that we did, it's a guy that lost his son in the war. And he lost his leg. He had what we call above knee amputation. And when he got his leg cut off, he walked on the other side with a prosthesis and he ruined his other knee. And that guy, I came to him like he is in peace with himself. He is not angry. He goes with the flow. He got up, gave me a hug. Said, good luck tomorrow. Because we saw them and we told him we're doing okay. He said, good luck in surgery. Very calm, collected, submissive, to be honest, to a certain extent. He was just so calming to me. I'm like, wow. After the surgery, I go to him. I say, Ammo, how are you? How you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you. Are you in pain? And you can tell. Of course, it's a knee replacement. I'm not extracting a tooth. Oh, no, thank you. Very grateful, very gracious. It was incredible. It was an eye-opener. That was one of the patients.
Why does that make you emotional?
Because otherwise, if we were not there, that guy wouldn't have the means to carry on and live life and maintain the least amount of decency. That guy lost his son in the war. That guy lost his leg. And now we're providing him with a service that otherwise he probably would not have access to. And he is so grateful. He is so appreciative of what we did. It was incredible dealing with that guy. That guy was unbelievable. And then the guys that we didn't do. There was a guy that fell down 2 years ago, and his family did not have the money to get his hip done. And when they showed me X-ray, I'm like, okay, it's a broken hip, we can do him. So we take him back, we see him. Of course, we have to examine patients before we go back. We divided us into different teams. And they come to me and they say, Doc, you want to see this guy's backside? I go there, he's got a big, what we call decubitus ulcer. His skin was eroded because he hasn't walked in 2 years. So that guy fell. He could have had a procedure and get up and walk the same day. But because of the lack of the funding, which is so silly, that guy has not walked for 2 years and lost the ability to walk for the rest of his life. I looked at him. It was such a hard conversation for me to have with his family. I'm like, look, as much as I want to help, but I can't.
Can you explain that medically? Why, if someone fell and didn't walk for a while, why it's harder to?
Because if you lay on your backside for a long period of time, there's what we call skin breakdown. Your skin will get eroded, and you have what we call ulcers. And that ulcer, your biggest barrier toward infection is your skin. And once that's compromised, you're taking a huge risk with infection. So I told his family, I'm like, look, I can give him a hip, but the reality is the chances of him getting infected, because we give that ulcer stages, it was an advanced stage, is extremely high. And I felt so bad about sharing my fears with the family, because they came to the hospital with the hope that their dad will get a new hip and hopefully he can walk again after 2 years. And for me to say, well, as much as I want to do this, but this is not safe, it took a lot out of me to explain to them that it's not a good thing for me to do. So that was that was probably harder than the first guy that I was able to help. Being able to help is what we were there for. But this guy, we told him, we're sorry, we can't help you.
Were they disappointed?
Beyond disappointed. But once again, these people are so appreciative. They were clearly very disappointed. You can see it on their faces. But not a single bad thing came out of their mouth except, thank you, we understand, thank you for considering us. They were so appreciative. But you walk away, it's not how they walked away from that conversation. Probably to them, they went back to the same life. My dad can't walk. But me walking away, I felt defeated. I'm like, wow, these are the type of people that we came to help. And that person, I failed. I couldn't help him. It's a lot of the patients that were like, as much as we want to help, but maybe it's a little bit too late.
Were there more of that case?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of infected hips and knees that came to us, and we're like, that ship had sailed. There's not much that we can do. We can get you in more trouble. We had a young guy. We had a nurse who was in his 30s, and his wife is dragging him in. And he's a nurse. And he was born with a condition that we call dysplasia, not to make this a medical talk, but his hip, instead of sitting inside the socket, it was completely outside. So you can imagine he had what we call a leg length discrepancy of inches. And he's walked, with a limp for all of his life. And he came in and said, Doc, can you help me? And then, no question, it's a tough case. I looked at the team, and Dr. Jawad goes like, come on, let's do him, Doc. And we did him. And the second day, he's walking, that gait is even. And, honestly, we all looked at each other. We didn't say a thing. We just walked, the opposite way. Because, again, it was overwhelming. We were overwhelmed. And we just got back to work. And we didn't have a chance to think about the difference that we made in that person's life. His wife, who's also a nurse, kept thanking us. we felt embarrassed. And khalas, stop thanking us. Alhamdulillah, you know, that's what we're here for. You know, and the thing that moved all of us is we finished work and we're going up, and the way they do it in Beirut, they put patients next to each other. It doesn't matter whether you had the surgery done or your surgery is tomorrow. They admit them a day in advance, which is not what we do here. And we walked into this old lady's room. She's adorable. She looks at us. She goes, of course in Arabic, you know, she goes, you guys came all the way from the United States to help me. Look at me. I'm an old lady. I'm not worth it. Of course, we told her, look, everyone is worth it. We're honored and privileged to be able to help. I mean, what these patients are asking for is common decency. They just want to walk. They just want to carry on in life. That's all they want. They're not asking for much. So why am I saying this? And the reason I agreed to come on this podcast is I want to tell everyone, when you give something, realize it's not going to waste. Sometimes you just don't see it. But believe me, there's so many people who are deeply in need of services. And you know what? Look, you said it beautifully. Not everyone's an orthopedic surgeon, but you know what? Your money can hire an orthopedic surgeon. Your money can hire an orthopedic surgeon. So the beauty of giving is unbelievable. It's something that is so rewarding, that makes you sleep so well at night. We're so lucky that we can give.
Mm. How beautiful.
It was unbelievable.
But also heartbreaking at the same time. Because when someone's that grateful, and for example, you'll see, I'm just assuming, not to say that people here aren't grateful, but some people, of course, you have cases where people will walk in, they'll have surgery, they'll leave, and that's the end of it. Maybe they think that this is what the doctor is supposed to do, you know? And maybe to a certain extent, they're right. That's what they're in the hospital for. Their insurance has it covered. But then you go and see this part of the world where they're so appreciative because they never thought that they would have this chance again. And thus overpouring of gratefulness makes you feel like, wait, this is something that I've done, like you said, 1,000 times. But why does this time feel so much more special?
It did feel different. I'm not going to lie. I have so many patients that have done so many hips and knees on, and, you know, broken bones and car accidents and motorcycle accidents. This one was different. These patients were the less fortunate of all the Lebanese people. These are the people that had no means, and they know that, and they made sure to tell you thank you. And to me, it was a feeling that I have never felt in my life before. And look, it's not for the lack of trying. It just felt different. This was different. It was overwhelming. It was incredibly rewarding. And that's why, honestly, when I came home, we never, me, Adam, Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Bazzi, Fadi, Yahya, we never wanted this to be public. Honestly, what we agreed on one thing before we departed to Lebanon is, inshallah, we'll get rewarded for this in the life after. Every single one of us said, you know what do we want out of this is nothing in this earth. You know, you want to give back, right? And on the way back, that bond between us, it grew so much that every single one of them kept calling me and said, Doc, when are we doing the next one? From my teammates. And so many other subspecialists, cardiologists, vascular surgeons, ophthalmologists called me. They said, Doc, shame on you for not including us in this. We would love to go. And honestly, I right now, I'm being honest with you, and it's probably a lot selfish on my part, is I'm just not sure where to go with this. Mm-hmm. Like, all these people are reaching out to me and say, Doc, come on, let's do it. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it better. And to me, because it wasn't easy, I just don't know where to go with this. Like, my teammates, every single one that I keep mentioning their names, They're like, come on, Doc, what's wrong with you? Let's get together. Let's make it bigger. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm like, number one, it's what you said. I want to make sure that what we did help people. So alhamdulillah, as of now, we're doing good. Number two, do I have the stamina to go through this? And I'm not talking financial, by the way.
Emotional?
It was just a lot of work. It was just a lot of work. It was a lot of red tape to cut through. It's just a lot of work for me as a person.
Most people don't know what to do after a car accident. I mean, think about it. You're hurt, you're stressed, and the last thing you want to do is handle paperwork and talk to insurance companies. That's why my first recommendation to you would be call Hal Macklid. Attorney Amir Macklid has been doing this for a very long time. Call him, let him know what happened, and he will build the plan for you. He's not going to throw legal talk that you don't understand. He handles the case, the fight, and you just make sure that you're getting better. If you have been injured, please don't wait and call Hal Macklid 313-788-8888 or contact them through the information that's in the description of this episode. And now let's get back to the show. Most people think tapping into their home's equity takes forever. It really doesn't. Look, the New Year's is coming up and you're going to have a lot of things on that resolutions list that are going to require money. And what better money to use than the ones that you've already paid for in between the walls of your home. With Mortgage Connections, there's no appraisal. You get approved in minutes. You get to choose the rate and the term. And these are closing in as little as 5 days. There's really no better way to tap into your home's equity. If you're trying to open up a business, do some renovations around the house, pay off a high interest credit card, and to start on using that home equity to your advantage, you can use the link in the description of this episode. You're right, you did not want to do this, and you needed a little convincing to do. But the way that I'm looking at this really is the New Year's is coming up, and a lot of people during this time of the year start writing goals for next year. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And a lot of the goals that they have for themselves is them taking from the world, whether it's money, whether it's positions. Our goals are all to take. What your perspective is, and you mentioned this on the phone call multiple times, Jafar, there is no credit to give, not for me, not for the team. And you wanted this to be like an 8-person podcast with the whole team.
That would have been ideal if you allowed it.
But the idea is, in whatever specialty you're in life, whatever job you have, whatever position you have, you always have means to give back. And that should be one of the main goals that we all have going into this year, going into the rest of our lives. You always have to give back, because the feelings that you're trying to explain, and I don't think you're able to hit that feeling 100%. You're struggling to. That's the feeling that we should be striving for.
Look, I told you, I've lived all my life wanting to give back. I come from a background of very modest means in life. Very modest. It's not the giving back part. It's, do I really want to make this as all these physicians, Doc, when you go next? I had a plastic surgeon. I'll do reconstructive surgery. I've had a hand specialist. I've had a couple of joint replacement specialists, vascular surgeons, cardiologists. They all want to come with us and make it bigger. To me, as you said, I want this to be beneficial. So now the logistic part is what I'm struggling with. Mm-hmm. It's not the idea that I'm struggling with. It's unfortunately the lack of support that you get makes you a little bit hesitant to take it to the second level. Like, I would not trade what we did for the world. That was an unbelievable trip. I can't believe how lucky we are to be a part of this journey. I mean, as you know, we took off wanting to help, and we were able to accomplish that. I came back with brothers that I have never felt so close to anyone in my life. We ate together. We drove every morning together. We had 2 cars every day. I would drive one car, and Dr. Bazzi would drive another car, and we'd load up everything in these cars. And it felt like a Boy Scout trip. Like, it felt like, let's get out of the house and get on it and do stuff, right? And the bond grew. This is something that I expected to happen, but not that strong. So don't get me wrong. We are very, very grateful to have done what we did. And inshallah, if given the chance, we'll do this again and again and again. But what I'm struggling with is, how big do you want to go? Do you really want to open it up to every other subspecialty? Do you want to keep it toward what I know, which is orthopedics? That's what we're struggling with. We're struggling with direction right now as a group. And we have a meeting coming up as a group on what to do next. It felt so good that every single one of us want to do it again. But will we have the support of the Minister of Health again? Will we have the support of Mr. Osama Sibdani again? I'm sure Mr. Osama would help. But there's a lot of things. And I just want to tell you, when I say help, I don't mean any monetary thing. We sponsored this all on our own. So we're not talking about money. We're talking about, again, you're going from one country to another country to perform surgeries. It's not, it sounds easy, but it's not.
Yeah, like, is the CEO of Middle East Airlines going to help you the way he did last time? They did this time.
Yeah.
But how many times does this
100%.
happen? How?
And I want to tell you, our biggest issue with the first trip is, I did not want to mention this, so many other hospitals closed the door in our face. The simple question that they asked is, what's in it for us? Your goal is to do good and give it free for patients. A lot of these hospitals, and you'll be shocked by the names of these hospitals, and I will not mention names, that's not their goal.
Wow.
We're open for business. We want money.
Wow.
So when I say strategically, oh yeah, don't say wow. I mean, these are...
Did that not shock you though?
Beyond shocked me. That was the biggest disappointment for me. I did not expect it. When you tell a hospital, I'm bringing my own orthopedic surgeons, I'm bringing my own components, I'm bringing my own prosthesis, I'm bringing everything, just give us the space. And the response is, what's in it for me? And they're supposed to be non-profit or religious hospitals. Did that shock me? Beyond shocked me, of course. But you know what? Again, you're going to someone else's backyard to play, right? That's how I view it. Again, I got all my medical education here in Michigan. I went to Cleveland Clinic for residency. I went to Boston for fellowship. Beirut had nothing to do with my medical education, nothing. And I'm taking this and going to Beirut. This is someone else's backyard. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest religious institutions, religious hospitals that belongs to religious institutions, told me that straight up.
The business part?
You're coming to my backyard to take patients from me? I can get paid for these patients. Why do you want me to do it for free? Why?
Because you would think after the war, you would think that after everything that everyone has gone through, when you have people that are flooding in to help in any way that they can, like you said, you were funding it from A to Z. You really didn't need anything from them except the space. And you're still going through the war. Like, this is like, people are still dying, people are still getting hurt. And then they say, but what's in it for us?
Well, to be fair, we're not doing any war casualties, right? We're doing, let's keep it what it is.
Of course, but I mean, the environment of the country is people are scared. The less fortunate are really scared. You know, they're not the type of people that could leave their houses and go to a safe area to rent out. You know what I mean? Like, the whole country is not stable, and people are going through a lot.
The good far
of course, the bad. But that's why I was surprised.
Look, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised by the nature of these institutions that said that to us. I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised that some people are thinking that way. And look, you can look at it as you said, that it's a war-torn country and everyone is jumping in to help each other and all that stuff, or these hospitals have been through so much, their funding is super low, they got to watch their budget. Let's look at the good in everything, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
That is the positive way of
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, would I use the term I was disappointed? No, I wasn't disappointed. This is reality. This is life. And to be honest with you, maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but if they wanted money, we were willing to pay money. But again, the Minister of Health made it so easy that we did not need facilities. We just wanted to go where our services are needed. Again, where the most unfortunate people live. That's what we wanted.
That's what Dr. Adam mentioned when he was here. He said when he got to Gaza, the one thing that he was just obsessed about was, okay, who can I help? How can I help? Whatever it is, just tell me what to do. I'll be the assistant if that's where the help is needed. I forget the example that he gave, but something along the lines of, I'll do the most low level job here, but let me just do something that I can help with. And I think that is that's a common mindset that you said and he said, is that we just want to help in any way
I'll
that
be
we
honest
can.
with you, what you described now is exactly how we functioned. No one cared about what do I do. Just give me something to do so I can help the team. Maybe it was Adam's influence, I don't know. But we worked as a team. I had zero complaints. I mean, who gets to say that? We had zero issues amongst us as a team on the strip. Everyone was more than willing to help, to jump and do whatever it takes for us to, again, we went on a mission. We wanted the job to get done. It was, the harmony was incredible. And I truly believe, because none of us wanted to do this for anything more than give back. We wanted to share our resources with the ones that don't have as much resources as we do. Listen, we do this every day here in this country. We do this every day. And you're right, we're getting paid for this. But when you go there, you're doing it for a different purpose. You're doing the same thing. You're doing the same exact thing. And to be fair, our patients here are so grateful as well. We have beautiful patients, super grateful. But there it's just different. Because patients here, they chose you, right? They could have had other choices than you. They could have went to physician X instead of you, right? But they chose you. In a way, you owe them something, right? Over there, it's a complete different dynamic.
There was no other choice in the world for them.
Yeah.
Even the people that picked probably thought that they won the lottery. Because I read that some patients walked the next day. They were able to walk the next day.
So kudos to Dr. Shukr, Dr. Yahya Shukr. We did the surgeries. We were the medical team, and we exiled Yahya to the floors. And he would go to the floor before he talks to patients, because it's all about education. So we gave Yahya the hardest part, which is to educate patients before surgery and walk patients after surgery. So every single patient that we did, including the amputee that we told you about, including the dysplasia, including that old lady that had a hip fracture, every single one, we took Dr. Yahya Shukr, and we had a nurse that we hired in Lebanon. Actually, no, he volunteered in Lebanon to come with us. His name is Ali. And him and Yahya, they would walk patients every day. From day zero till they got discharged. It was a sad day when we wrapped up. Yahya looks at us, he goes, man, I'm not going to see these patients tomorrow. So in a way, he got the better end of things. Because for us, we were technicians. He had more of the element factor, right? We went and we rounded every day, and we chit-chatted. And believe me, these old folks are funny. They crack jokes. They make fun of you. You make fun of them. It was a very interactive way of us and them. Like that dynamic of that relationship was very, very different and unique, right? But Yahya, every day he walked these patients. Every day he would walk them in the morning, at noon, at night. Because we were there all day. We just worked, man. We just worked. Because I told you that the stuff did not get there till 4 days later. So we worked every day. And Yahya was on the floor every day. Every single day. Talking to patients, educating patients, walking patients. It was phenomenal.
Wow. Yahya is a phenomenal human being in general.
He really
He's one of those people that you feel like you can talk to for hours, and like there's always value to give with him.
He's truly a super nice person that does not have a mean bone in his body. That he keeps it simple. He knows what he wants out of life. He knows that I'm here to help, and that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna keep it simple.
Yeah.
And he did his job like no other.
What's one thing that we didn't talk about today that you think we should have?
Honestly, the one thing that we should talk about is how do we streamline this process? At the end of the day, this should never be about, a group of 6 physicians, taken on a mission and one and done, right? That's hard to do, but it's doable, obviously. But how do we streamline this process? There's a lot of people that need this. I mean, the reason that we're in this is to help others, right? So how do we streamline this whole process and make it easier for future physicians, whether, we continue with this as a group and more people latch on, or whether they go on an individual basis? How do you get to a point where you have the means to have people who are experts in their field to go down and help the needy? I think that's one thing, and I don't have the answers for this.
Streamline, as in, you mean like how can we make this a consistent thing where we know, for example, 3 times a year, there's these specialists that are going to go down and they're going to help all the people that are in need in this specific area. Is that what you mean by streamline it?
100%.
So make it a consistent thing.
Instead of them reinventing the wheel, start from scratch all the time. And that's not something that I or you or anyone else have the solution for. This has to be a government initiative. When I say government, Beirut initiative. Like right now, I can tell you, when we did surgeries in Baalbek, we stayed at Zahli. And the next morning, before we went on, got in the cars and left, I saw these folks who are speaking English with a Texan accent. I came to them and like, hi. And we got to talk, and turns out they have a mission that they do every year in Beirut. When I say Beirut, I mean Lebanon. They were in Zahli at the time. And they go down, they're a bunch of dentists, and they go down, they do dental work. And he told me, we've been doing this for the past 25 years. And the past 2 years, we were stopped from coming down, and they allowed us now again to come down.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, if a physician X feels grateful that God rewarded him with so much, and he wants to give back. And he wants to give back out of his, like I said, giving sweat and blood is different than giving money, right? So how do we make it easy for any physician to go down and provide the services that otherwise these people won't have? I'm telling you, it was not easy for us to, from the birth of that idea, all the way till we got back on the airport on the way back home. It was a challenge after a challenge after a challenge.
What would you say was the most difficult part? Was it getting the space?
Politics.
Okay, so
Politics.
But can you explain a little bit more what politics means?
Which hospitals to use.
Okay.
We got, in my opinion, we got lucky that the Minister of Health granted us temporary privileges. How do you, like customs, why would they want to charge a medical mission money to get equipment and prostheses to be used for free? I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can manage all these issues, but the reality is, why? Right? You get there, we met with some very important people there, and the people that mean well. And I said to them, look, so let's take half of that team that was with us. They haven't been to Lebanon a whole lot. So to them, it's a foreign country, right? it would have been more beneficial to them to have some sort of like presence from like protection or someone to take care of them. Like we did not have that. Like, so how do you streamline it? How do you plug your name into an already existing vehicle to take you from you practicing every day within your field in your workplace to go to Lebanon and operate? I don't know. That's what we need to talk about. That's what we keep talking about, me and my team, is because interacting with the patients in Lebanon, you feel that these people need what we did.
They definitely did.
Yeah. And they're very appreciative. And it's only expected of us to make this consistent. And that's on us to figure out, how do we make it consistent?
That's all that you said is valid. And I think once you nail that down to exactly how that could work, I think it just opens the door to so much more help. And we're about to wrap this up, but I think we can talk a little bit more about this off air. I think I have a couple ideas. But thank you so much, Dr. Darwish. I hope everyone that listens understands that in whatever field that you're in, whatever you do in life, giving back and to people that are in need, whether it's back home or whether it's here, is a very essential part of human nature. We can't be just takers. Consumers. You have to create. You have to give back in one form or another. Like you said, you're not an orthopedic surgeon, hire an orthopedic surgeon. You know how much this surgery costs. You really want to help. If you don't have the funds to do that, you have the connections. Maybe talk to your friends that are able to get that amount of money and help other people out.
And I just want to piggyback on what you said. I am extremely grateful and thankful for all the physicians who called me after we came back, wondering how can they provide their expert opinions and expertise in the field and come with us to Lebanon. As I mentioned to you, I was overwhelmed and extremely impressed with the amount of physicians that called me afterwards, said, "Doc, please next time, make sure that we are with you doing the same thing that you did, because that's what we want to do. We just don't know how." So I want to thank them all. I'm being serious. Like I said, when I started this is a beautiful community. We have great people. Of course, I'm from the medical field, so I can talk about the people in the medical field more than any other field. But the community at large is beautiful. We love to give back and we love to help. And I'm extremely grateful for all the physicians that reached out to me. And hopefully in the future we can get something together and make something more and big out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Darwish.
Thank you for having me.